Hello, all. This is Dr. Boney. I will be your host and professor for Forensic Biology with Lab, fall of 2024. A few things about me. I've been teaching for 25 years. I have a bachelor's degree in biology. I have a master's in bioethics. I have a doctorate in secondary science, curriculum and instruction, and I also have a doctorate in medical molecular science. So yes, I'm a science nerd, and so hence you taking a nerdy class with me. Let me go over the course introduction for you, so you can kind of navigate how to go through this. And this screen will look a little bit different than yours because it's a teacher view, but not more difficult that you won't see the connection between the two. So obviously the first thing you want to do when you start the course is take a look at the syllabus, and here is the syllabus. And I'm not going to obviously read all of this to you. You can read a lot of it yourself, but there's my email. Here's what you need. They also, by the way, Labster is part of this. You're going to be automatically charged for that software through the college, I'm sure. But besides from that, you need the book. There's the info. All right, you can read all this about what the course is about. I should probably give you some of my background related to it. I will. Aside from teaching for 29 years, I'm also a scientist. I do research in tick-borne pathogens, CRISPR technologies, yeast metabolism, things like that. And so a lot of this stuff I do all the time. I don't go to crime scenes, so hopefully we can go ahead and train you guys to do that. So how are you graded? Here is basically the breakdown of the grading. Pretty straightforward. And this is the part you really want to pay attention to. So all your assignments, for the most part, except for a few of the discussions, are due on a Sunday. And so it basically kind of starts this way. So this would be a Monday. This would be the first day of class right here. This would be the 26th of August. This is all of your reading that you have to do. And everything on the right is your assignments. And they are based on color depending on which kind of assignment they are. And so that's going to help you down the line to figure out exactly what you need to do and when things are due. So that's pretty easy to figure out there. Alrighty. The next thing I would do after you look at the syllabus, there's a couple of different things you can do. I would recommend from that point probably hitting start here. And this will kind of give you an overview of exactly what the course is about. Again, I'm not going to go over a lot of this stuff, so you're not going to see this. Ooh, look at that, instructor resources, don't publish. But you're going to see this kind of stuff. And if we just start here, there's a couple ways to navigate it. I'm sure you guys know all this. You can review the syllabus. You can review the discussion board expectations, the class introductions. You're going to do that week 0. A little short video, who you are. And then the modules. And again, you can navigate by going to the next thing this way. And so this is where you're going to do your class introduction. And then from that point, you're just going to keep going down the line for all of the things in the introduction part of the course. And so what were those? Well, those were basically just a list of all of these things, a little bit of a background to it. So, especially the lab simulations, make sure you can access that. So then basically you start the class, and the easiest way to start the class would be week 1 introduction. This tells you exactly what the objectives are as far as the course, how they relate to specific learning objectives for the module, and then what you actually have to do. And so I won't do this every week, but just for week 1 I will kind of give you a sense of what week 1 looks like, and then I'll kind of tell you a couple projects coming up. So basically the first thing you're going to do for week 1 is read part 1, chapter 1 and 2, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the textbook in a second. And then you have an article review preparation, so you want to start reading this, and I'll tell you it's a pretty sciencey, nerdy paper, and that's perfectly fine. And one of the keys to reading things like that is if you ever are reading it and there's a word that you just don't know what it means. And so if I were to just, for example, open this up, let me just go ahead and accept all these. There's a couple different ways. You can read it like this if you want. I'm a little old school. I like to turn it into a PDF because I can make it a little larger and I can manipulate some other stuff. But if you start reading a lot of these, how do you read these? The answer is basically read until you don't understand what a word means. And then really what you do is look that word up and just put a note to it. So here's one right here, presence of insects and other, necrophilus. What's that mean? So don't just keep reading. Look up the word necrophilus and then make a note to yourself. And so that is my big suggestion for when you are reading these papers, and there won't be a lot. So from that point, it'll go through, and also in your week 1 is going to be your lab simulation. And that's going to be through, everything is through Canvas, but this will be your Labster, lab safety. And so this is the lab that you'll do, and you'll do it literally right through the computer. Everything is point of view labs. Of course, I'm skipping ahead. You won't be able to do that. So then once I finish that, again, I'm going to go to the next thing here. And so you see, it's pretty straightforward. So the one thing I do want to talk about, you'll notice that there's a final paper due the end of the year. And you're like, well, dude, why are you bringing this up the first week? Well, the reason why is that the topic for that final paper is due during week 2. It's one of your assignments during week 2. So you want to go ahead and figure out which of these that you want to do. It's due week 14. And so you may not even know, for example, what a word like odontology might mean. And of course, my college roommate would be upset if I didn't know, because he is a dentist. And so odontology is basically the study of diseases of the teeth and how the teeth are structured. So you're going to want to go through, if you don't know some of those words, and kind of get an idea of which one you want. And then you can start, once you get the approval on week 2, then you can start working on the paper, and we'll get to that later. But I want you to just kind of get a sense of what that is going to look like. And then, of course, you have readings for week 3 from the article. So that is something you want to definitely pay attention to, and you can see all I'm doing is just going boom, boom, boom. And now this is obviously week 2. So once the course starts, my suggestion is going through the modules that way. After you've read all this, these are all of your everything that you would have to do for week 1, 2, 3, all the way down the line, 5, 6, 7. You'll notice that there is no week 8. That's because it's reading week. So all the way down the line, that is how the course is set up. One last little thing about grading, of course, and these things. Your exams are taken through here. There's a proctoring software called Respondus. So you have 4 of those exams, and those dates are indicated. You have the week of that week to take the exam whenever you want. Is fine with me. You have article reviews, which I just went over one of them. You have your lab assignments, which are the ones from the Labster. Point of view labs are really cool. And then, of course, you have your final paper. So one thing I can tell you with this course is you do not want to wait till the very end to do the final paper. I also have a optional delivered to me a rough draft due date if you want me to take a look at your paper a week or 2 before the actual final paper's due. So you want to pay attention to that. That's probably week 10. Don't quote me on that. But that's not required. So this is, and of course you have your discussions as well, which is in this as well. So you want to make sure that you're doing those. And the discussions are the only things, by the way, that you are responding by Wednesday. Because, or in other words, you have to post by Wednesday. The reason you have to post by Wednesday is so that people have time to do their responses back, because you need to respond to 2 other people on that note. So that is your grades. And again, pay attention to when the major events are. You can see that there's not a lot of discussion boards, there's a few. But you want to pay attention to those, and of course you can see your exams are there as well. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you get stuck on something, if there's some of the content you're like, hey dude, like I really don't get like what DNA primers are and PCR, that's what my job is. I am not here to sit back and twiddle my thumbs. My job is to help you. So if you need help with some of the content, that's what I'm here for. The types of questions that would be a question I wouldn't answer is, I didn't understand chapter 2. That's not a good question. A good answer is, when I was learning about, for example, DNA fingerprinting, I don't understand what the term STR means. Like, that's a good question. So, on that note, good luck, and I will be available whenever you need me.